And all the people say.
Good evening, and welcome back to The Division, not Division 2. Yes, I know it's been a stupid long time since I'm recording. Lots of excuses, not going to tell them about them. However, I decided to record this video, and this is my second attempt because all of those problems out there are still there. Mainly with my mechanical solutions for recording and what have you. Anyway, moving on. I mainly wanted to record this video because of the fairly recent announcements by Ubisoft regarding the expansion of the Division. The Division? Or just the Division universe. In particular, my thoughts and my predictions for Heartlands coming up. Now, I will try and keep this video relatively short and relatively undisturbed. I'm just going to do some walking around, avoiding combat if I can. I will give you a quick rundown of my gear at the minute. I am using a big Alendro, coupled with a Hungry Hod, which I rarely use, but it's there for an emergency if I want to swap weapons. But more importantly, a Lone Star fully classified set, and that gives me extra boost of 30% fire rate and weapon damage, and instantly refills the magazine on my big Alendro 3/4 of the time when it runs out of ammo. So with the rate of fire as it is at 1000, add another 30% to that and to the damage, yeah, it tears through. It literally tears through everything I look at. And I'm having a lot of fun. Actually having a lot of fun with Division 1, and pleasantly surprised about how well populated the game still is in the communal zone. So even though it's a much older game, it's definitely well supported still. Equally as, well, seemingly equally as well supported as Division 2. I'll show you this. Yeah. Don't stand much of a chance, do they? Anyway, getting back to the point in hand. Recently announced by Ubisoft, one of the key points was Heartlands, which is going to be a standalone game based in the Division universe. Developed and brought to us by Redstorm. And details are sketchy. We got one image so far, which is obviously artist impression promotional material. Instantly, from the name and from that graphic, most of us are, I think, correctly guessing that it's going to be set in Midwest America, which gives us a nice range of environments. We're not going to be stuck in a big city like Washington or New York. What we're going to have is probably a relatively big town, or maybe even a small town areas dotted about. But we're also going to have green environments with maybe woodlands. Less built up areas, agricultural areas perhaps. Now to me they bring a load of different problems, especially for a game that would be traditionally a Division game, i.e. a third person cover based shooter, because you're in the woods. You ever tried hiding behind a tree? Well, you know, in other games, even hiding behind something fairly narrow in this game. It's not very good cover. There's trees here. You can hide behind them a little bit, but that's not going to provide you with much cover, is it? No. Let's get up close, see if I can spin the camera around. No, it won't let me. But which brings me to some key points in the announcement. they say, and I'm quoting you directly, it's a standalone game. It doesn't require previous experience with the series, so it's aiming squarely at new players, players who potentially, I mean, obviously it's going to have some and a lot of interest from the current player base, but the main key point I think it's pushing is to try and bring in a big lump of new players who are interested with a completely different type of game or style of game. So it doesn't require previous experience with the series. It will provide an all new perspective on the universe and in a new setting. Now we've addressed the new setting and where it's going to be and the potential for that setting, as I've said, about hiding behind objects that aren't potentially just buildings or crates and all the rest of it, strongly brings me to the assumption that it's going to be moved to first person. The other thing that points me in that direction is that Ubisoft are brilliant at using puns. They love puns, and let me read the pun for you again, shall I? It will provide an all new perspective to the universe. So they're literally changing perspectives with this game. It's going from third to first person. Simple as that. Good thing, bad thing? I don't know. I struggle for reasons of vision with games that aren't third person. I suffer with those significantly. I feel a loss of peripheral that I would have in real life. Oddly, I find more immersion in a third person game than a first person game. A lot of people, well, I would say the majority of gamers these days prefer first person. So moving the genre, or moving one of the games in your genre to accommodate the millions of people who enjoy and prefer first person games is sound business. The other key thing we got on this is that it's free to play. Now, how would a business model work? Well, we can take from other areas to say that what games generally work as free to play and how they work as free to play. They have some MMO games. They work as free to play based on boosts of various kinds. We're not just talking about mobile MMOs, talking about other core MMOs. So you get a boost, you can get some materials, you get some in-game currency, but they're all based on helping you craft and advance in that aspect of the game. They don't necessarily all help you with the combat. Now, Red Storm are famed for PvP games. Also, they've got a good reputation for third-person PvP games. They did a lot of the earlier Tom Clancy titles, or were involved in them, and with good reviews, and those were first person. So, I personally think this game is going to be a first person, team based shooter. PvP only. Now, I believe this because we have got elements dropped all around. We've got already a game in Division 1, which, remember, this game is being linked to the Division, not Division 2. So it's going to be set at roughly the same point in time of the outbreak, i.e. winter, and is linked to this game. We've already got a game which fits a lot of these, and that's called Last Stand, and that's already in the Division. It's a team-based PvP game. It's third person. Now, I don't know if Red Storm were involved in that. Remember they were brought back into the Division to try and fix the Division's PvP aspects in the Dark Zone. If somebody can tell me if they had input on the Last Stand game mode, I don't know. If somebody knows, let me know. But their expertise, first person PvP. We've got Last Stand, which was relatively well looked at initially, but I think support of that drained off quite rapidly. But it was one of the last expansions to the Division, so a lot of people were already waiting for and holding back playing, waiting for Division 2. So I don't take that as a bad thing. I've played it only a couple of times. I'm not a PvP player, as you probably know from all my videos. I much prefer PvE co-op. I think I played Last Stand mainly because it was co-op. It made it feel better. Just bear me a second. So yes, I was interrupted there. Of course, more interruptions and issues. Anyway, back to the matter. So Red Storm, well renowned for this. We've already got a game mode which fits closely to what's been done. So I've kind of experimented with the game, this style, but in a totally different environment. Obviously, Last Stand is far more compact than the other games that are out there that are first-person shooters. Now, the other thing is that clearly Red Storm have been working on this for a while, because the release date is set for the end of 2021. So they've obviously been working on it for a good, I would say for a year in secret already. Maybe 18 months, because giving it another 8 months to actually get to a release date, that's a lot of work, and I would hate to think that they've been crammed for the last 80 for a full development cycle of just 18 months. It's possible, but it's not something I would be happy with promoting, and I would hope Ubisoft would also not be something they would promote. Oh, we've got some people right here. Hello. Goodbye. Dead. Wheel you out. There you go. So looking at the development cycle, they've obviously been working on this for a while, so I'm hoping that some of the lessons from Last Stand have been taken forward. The other thing that occurs to me is that there's been at least one significant title which is a free-to-play first-person team-based shooter, which has been released in the last year, which has done pretty damn well. Call of Duty Warzone. Now, would you think that Ubisoft are copying? No. Are they taking advantage of a product that they knew that was coming out already? Because I think development of Heartlands was before Warzone's release. Started before Warzone's release. But news industry gets round. They know this is coming. Let's see if we can do one. Give me that. That, I think, is the attitude here. And you even have airdrops in Warzone. Now, to me, all of that metric fits a lot of, or ticks a lot of the boxes that Division has. You have airdrops, because we've had that in the PvP in Dark Zone. We get the supply drops there. It's a team based, so we've had that in our Last Stand mode. It's PvP, which is Last Stand mode again, and the DZ. all of these boxes tick. In the graphic, we've got a flare going off in the background, so I would imagine that the set is it's going to be a small team-based PvP first-person shooter where you have to gather supplies and get them extracted. Or you're either going to do that, or I would hate to say it's copying Warzone by saying they're going to request drops coming in. I would also like to see some variation from the Last Stand mode, how you built up the points and how the shade tech worked in that. If anybody's played that, you know that you have to go around, you kill the NPCs and the enemy players, and it gives you shade tech that you use to build up hard points around the areas you've got to capture. Then you move on to the next bit after you've captured it, etc, etc, etc. Now, that's good, but I would hope that they're not going to do that. The environment doesn't seem to fit it, because, as I've said, this environment is more open plan. It's going to be a small Midwest town with agrarian environment around it, and I think if they make the most use of that, it's going to give everybody that's certainly a new perspective on the game. Is it a game that I would enjoy? Unlikely. I'm, as I've said, not a fan of PvP, not a fan of first person. So that leaves me with a game that isn't going to be impressed to me. I am more interested in the film. That actually looks like it's going to happen now, finally. We got a solid backer with Netflix. We got a director who's very enamoured with the project. He is a big Division fan. I am not sure, actually, if he's a big fan of Division 2. I don't remember him actually mention anything. The game is the film is certainly going to be based on the first game. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed for that. He's a big fan of the game. He's been doing some solid research. He's even asked about details about what's the helicopter they use for making extractions. That level of detail this early on. Obviously, it's just in pre-production. I can't remember when the film is slated to be released. 2022 probably, but they'll probably be starting filming shortly on that.
Readings indicate an echo nearby.
But I'm really excited about that. I'm really excited about the new books coming out and those smaller items. But I have put my name down, like probably thousands and thousands of other players, to see if we can get some testing done on Heartlands when it's available. I will test it. I will post videos of it. I will give my honest, unbiased opinion. Even though first-person shooter isn't my genre, I can recognise good or bad game mechanics. I will skirt past the first-person side of it. And I will make sure that I give a fair review of it. And if you enjoy first-person games, I would recommend that you look into it in the future. Now, if my prediction turns out wrong, I will of course make a formal apology. I'm quite happy to have my words and eat them if they're wrong. But other than that, I think that's done for today. Now, it's an exciting period.
This means so much to me.
We're going to have some more content for the Division 2. We know even less about what that potentially was going to be made of. Is it going to be a full DLC, which is possible, I would have thought. Would it be on the scale of Warlords? I'd say unlikely due to the time frame. I'm not sure. We'll see. Again, when that comes out, I'll be doing that again. If you play the Ubisoft games, the other thing going into Heartlands is it's free to play, which means Ubisoft are going to have a free reign to throw all of their cosmetics at you. just completely unbridled, unfettered cosmetic everywhere. So if you're not a fan of microtransactions and hard sell on cosmetics, hard sell on season passes like they've done in Division 2, remember they've got season pass and for Division 2 now. If you're not happy about those sort of things, then you're probably going to want to complain about this as well. But at the end of the day, you've got less validity complaining about microtransactions and season passes if the game is already free. Personally, I think if they're going to do a game where they can push microtransactions and season passes, then it's going to be the free game. And I think good to them, because how else do you pay the bills at the end of the day when you come to that? So from there, I think we'll just have to wait and see. Fingers crossed for some sort of impact soon, and I hope to catch you again soon. As of tomorrow, because today is the 12th, tomorrow the new DLC for Valhalla is coming out. My thoughts on Valhalla is I will just say I think it's a step down from Odyssey. Gameplay wise, graphically wise, I strongly feel it shouldn't have been labelled an Assassin's Creed game. It could have been a much better game if it was just a completely new IP, like Viking Raider or something. I don't know, but I bought it, and I bought the DLC, pre-bought the DLC and everything, so I'm going to be playing it. If I think it worthy of a video, there's already lots of videos where people are playing it pre-access. I haven't watched any of them, so I'm going to go in blind. From there, we'll see. But that's enough for this video. And I'll hope to be back very shortly. I'll speak to you later. Goodbye.